Today is the Alliance launch.
We did it.
We did it.
That's what I think about today. I think that great minds came together and we decided that we were moving Aurora forward. And so here we are, baby. It's a new day.
The Quad County African American Chamber of Commerce is a part of this. I am so grateful. There have been so many moving parts, but oh my God, here we are today. We've done it.
Aurora proud!
Welcome into City Hall as we talk all things Aurora Regional Economic Alliance. My name is John Zaglou, Communications Manager here at the City of Aurora. I am joined by two very distinguished guests here with me as we break down the Alliance, talk about what it's going to mean for the city moving forward, of course. The 59th Mayor of Aurora, Mayor Richard C. Irvin, is here with me. Mayor, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, John. Good to be on with you.
And, of course, Kelly O'Brien, the new President and CEO of the Alliance. Kelly, great to see you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
So I want to start here with you, Mayor. First of all, this is such a bold vision, such a brand new initiative here in the city. How did this all come together?
Well, over the last 8 years while I've been mayor, we've had so many new initiatives. And we've done so much economic development. Matter of fact, we've done more economic development in the last 7 years than all the administrations put together over the last 70 years collectively. And I recognize that you know, in doing this economic development where I would directly be involved. I mean, I've been on trips to identify companies that you know would be a good fit in Aurora to bring them home. You know, I've met personally with developers that have developed here in the city of Aurora to create a relationship with them. And I recognize that there's something more that we need to be doing. And we had organizations that could assist. We had the Chambers of Commerce. We had Invest Aurora. We had Aurora Downtown, all that kind of had this same economic development tone about them. I said, what if we came together and worked together as one organization? And, you know, I visited a couple states and big cities in the South and North and did, you know, looked all throughout the country and saw that other, you know, big cities, you know, size of Aurora and even larger, had these multi organizations that all came together. And, you know, we talked about it a year ago, just had conversation. I brought everybody in from all the different organizations and we got on a chalkboard and started writing about what if we could just bring everything under one umbrella and work together. And it was just an idea and everybody thought it was a great idea. But the funniest thing happened, you know, we didn't really know how to execute this idea and make it happen. I happened to have lunch with Kelly, an old friend of mine that I hadn't seen in 20 years. And we were just having lunch talking. I said, you know, what have you been doing for the last 20 years? And she says, oh, you know, I just been doing some economic development things. And I said, like what? You know, and she wanted to move on to the next conversation. I was like, no, I need to hear this. And she told me about it. I was like, wow, we're looking to do something just like that right now. Do you mind coming to a meeting with us and talking to my team about it? And she came to that meeting and, you know, history's made. And here we are with the Alliance going strong.
Such an exciting initiative. And Kelly, you know, as the mayor talked about your background and your experience, and he also said that there are other cities doing this. And I remember you mentioned that at City Council when you first came and asked for this group and this alliance to be made. So if you could go into kind of your perspective, how did this all come together? And then is this a model from other cities that we're going to be replicating here in Aurora?
Yes, thank you. And like the mayor said, it was truly serendipity. I have spent the last 20 years of my career in economic development. I've worked at all levels, from being an elected official and chairing an economic development committee in my hometown to working in Washington, D.C. at the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration. I've worked on the regional level, both here in the Midwest as well as in North and South Carolina. And interestingly enough, the group in Charlotte, we were a combined group. There was an organization that was 11 counties and the City of Charlotte Chamber that came together. So when I came back home to Illinois to take care of a sick parent, I was again fortunate to reconnect with the mayor. And when he said what he was seeing in other communities, and I explained, oh, that's where I was, a group that did this, and asked that I can meet with some of the organizations here. It was we didn't know this time last year how the conversations would really unfold. And there were 6 organizations plus the city that started meeting in earnest in January of last year. And like the mayor said, and we just started, putting things on the whiteboard and really trying to understand who's doing what so that we could see where there was overlap and where there were gaps, where there were no organizations really, doing some things that would really be beneficial for the business community. And I do want to give a shout out to MOED, to the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, because with the mayor's vision and the phenomenal group of, really talented economic development professionals there, and of course, our city manager, the city, to the mayor's point, I mean, there has been so much that has been done in such a short period of time. I think that now having the business community and this platform that brings together the public sector, the private sector, and academia. I mean, that was kind of that missing link, and now we've got that in place.
And let me just say, with all the economic development that we've done, and we've done a lot over the last 8 years, I think that just scratched the surface. What if we had a team of professional folks just like Kelly going throughout the country and sometimes throughout the world to identify, businesses and corporations that be a fit in Aurora and bringing them home? Just think about that. Matter of fact, and I'll give Kelly a lot of credit for this because and just our partnership. When we had that lunch that day, I said, you know what, we need this to be set up in about the next 12 months. And she looked at me like, she was like, well, you know what? It takes years to set up things like this. I said, nope, we're going to do this in 12 months. She was like, I don't know. I said, let's work together. We're going to make this happen. And with her expertise and talent, she made it happen. And working together, she's been amazing. So I look forward to where we go with Alliance.
Thank you, Mayor. And it really is true. When you look around the country and you see communities that have gone, through this process, I truly have not come across any that have been able to do it in one calendar year. And I do think that that is a great story for for Aurora and the Aurora business community, and one that we can tell on the national and international stage, because businesses want to hear how communities work together. And what better example is there than everybody coming together in order to launch the Alliance?
And Mayor, you brought up a great point earlier, right? I mean, by bringing all these organizations together, it's only going to boost what Aurora's already done. I can't even imagine what's going to happen compared to these past 8 years now that we have an organization like this present.
Like I said, I believe we've only scratched the surface. Now, although we have done a lot, it's been a lot of us, myself and my chief of staff, Alex Alexandru, and my economic development director, David Debo, running around like chickens with our heads cut off, just trying to make sure we can make these deals work and bring people home to Aurora and make people feel comfortable enough to invest tens of millions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars, in a city that for decades, for generations, was a second-rate or second-class city, or looked at that way, with crime, with drugs and gangs, and a terrible image and perception. We've changed that around. And now we have, these corporations knocking at our front door saying, we want to come be a part of the success that you've created in a very short time in the city of Aurora. No business comes to a city just because they're nice to us or because, we ask them nicely. They come because they want to invest and get a return on their investment. They want to make a profit for their business, whatever that business is. And we have made people feel comfortable enough to recognize that if they invest in Aurora, because we're open for business, they are going to get a return on their investment and make the profit that they set out to make.
Kelly, what kind of an impact do you think the Alliance is going to be having now on residents here in Aurora?
Sure. Well, I think, to the mayor's point, Aurora has been very fortunate because of the assets and because of the great work of this administration, where in large measure the phone has been ringing. We are now going to not only be answering the phone and continuing, to help shepherd businesses here, but we're also going to be very strategic about the kind of businesses that we are going to go around the country and around the world and recruit here. And what we want to do is really be thoughtful about the changing economy. I mean, we all know that technology is changing the way that we live and work, and it's continuing, to do so. And so we want to understand to the best of our ability, because it changes literally every day, but to the best of our ability, we want to understand how the new technology will be impacting Aurora's existing industry base. And we want to be able to have a plan for the businesses and the workforce that are going to be negatively impacted by these new technologies. How do we make sure that we are bringing in the new businesses to help absorb the workforce that will be in transition because of that? And with the investment that is happening in Illinois in quantum computing, as an example, it gives us a unprecedented opportunity to really be a technology hub. We have the assets here, so we are going to be very purposeful in making sure that we are positioning the economy for success with the changes that are happening, before our very eyes.
And to your point, for example, Mayor, you know this one very well, right off of I-88 Neola Road. If we talk about technology, the CyberSone data center,
Absolutely.
There's a great spot where there's a ton of development that goes right off of your point.
Absolutely. And the reality is when I came to office, we started attracting these IT companies and data centers. And we called that the IT corridor. We created a name, to make these companies feel comfortable to come to an area where they all kind of congregate. They like to be around each other. Now, when we're talking about Microsoft, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, all here in the city of Aurora. And they keep expanding and growing and wanting to be a part of it because we have a fiber optic ring, that is one of the largest in any city in the state of Illinois other than Chicago. And people want to capitalize on that. And we're close enough to Chicago where we're still in Chicago land and they don't mind, driving the 35, 40 minutes, and bringing their employees out to the city of Aurora. We want to capitalize on that.
From a business perspective, Kelly, how can businesses here locally or maybe external businesses that you're trying to bring in partner or get involved with the Alliance?
Yes, well, the Alliance is being built as both an economic development and Chamber of Commerce corporation. And so we are going to be bringing the very best of economic development practices, and we have some great professionals, and we're growing that team. And so that's the piece in terms of recruiting businesses and working with the city in order to, the mayor talks about expediting, permitting and being able to really be a concierge to help them from inviting them to realize why they want to make Aurora home and then getting their doors open and then making sure that we are working with them as an Alliance member so that they are happy here and expanding their business. So that's on the economic development side. For existing businesses, we want them to consider becoming a member if they're already a member of either the Aurora Chamber or the Quad County African American Chamber. As I'm saying, congratulations, you are an Alliance member. And when the 2025, invoice comes due, that's when you can decide that you want to stay. And of course, we want you to say yes. And meanwhile, we are being thoughtful in terms of creating benefits for large businesses, for mid-sized businesses, and for our small business community. So we want to make sure that we have offerings for all the businesses in Aurora. And the idea, again, being that platform where we're bringing these business leaders together in a number of different ways, from networking to being a part of very substantive initiatives. There's going to be a way that you can contribute, and we feel very confident that by being involved, your business will benefit.
And as far as the benefit of the Alliance goes and the partnership with the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, as mayor, I've got to look at this both on a micro level and a macro level. On the micro level, we want to make sure every single business succeeds. And as technology starts to change and affect these businesses, how we can make sure that people still are able to have good jobs and, and live and work here in the city. And that's on the micro. On the macro level, as mayor, we've got to bring as many businesses into the city to expand the tax base. So we can take some of the burden off of every homeowner in the city of Aurora. So instead of raising the taxes, we were able to reduce the taxes. Matter of fact, we reduced Aurora's property tax rate by 20% just in the last 7 years by expanding that business and by expanding that pie. So as we keep and continue to attract more businesses and more residents and more people to the city of Aurora, we continue to expand that, which gives us the ability to create a value in the city, a much more value that we had before, and reduce the property tax rate at the same time.
Such a great point. And, I've done an episode in the past with Alex Alexandria, your chief of staff, about the budget and how all of that kind of breaks down. And you make a great point, Mayor. By expanding the businesses here in this city and by creating an organization like this, at the end of the day, the taxpayer, the resident, is actually going to have a net benefit because they won't be paying as much money.
Absolutely. And their house is worth more.
Exactly. It's basic economics. It's really good stuff.
Exactly right.
Well, and I would also not only, do we have a great narrative in terms of, the businesses growing, but in the last 5 years, jobs have been growing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's,
We've added 5,000 jobs.
Exactly. And
right.
we have, there's, certain, again, an industry base here in Aurora. And as it relates to the business services, there have been in the last 5 years, over 2,000 jobs added. And then as it relates to e-commerce and transportation logistics, I think something like 1,500 jobs just in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that Aurora and the Aurora region are part of the Chicago MSA, which is part of the national economy. And so we are a major driver of the national GDP. So the more successful that we are, the better the country is. And our numbers are showing substantially better than the state or even that whole Chicago MSA. We've got a great story to tell. Really good things are happening. And that's why we are attracting the businesses, growing the jobs, and going to continue to build on this great foundation.
And not only are we growing the jobs, we're growing the average salary that a person makes by close to 20%. So we're, like I said, we look at this on many levels. How do we attract business? How do we positively affect the lives of the residents here in the city of Aurora? And, we've got big plans, and Kelly's going to lead the way from the Alliance.
Well, considering what's to come, obviously the Apex announcement was just a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
This is the perfect time to have something like this
Absolutely.
launched because there's so much more to come.
That's right.
So much more to come, brother.
Really, really exciting stuff here. So I'm going to ask both of you this question. I'm going to get your perspective from the city side, Mayor, and from the Alliance's side. What does this mean for the future of the city then?
Well, for the future of the city, it means that sky's the limits. It means that there's nothing that we can accomplish working together. It means that we can expand our tax base. It means that we can provide more jobs and opportunities. It means that our residents can have a better quality of life the harder we work and the more we do. And we've got big plans to do as much as possible to improve the quality of life of our residents and take Aurora to the next level.
We have hired a national consulting firm called TIP Strategies to help us create a 5-year strategic plan. And that strategic plan will be based on the input from the leaders from government, academia, and the private sector. So there's going to be multiple ways to get this feedback, but we really want to understand the needs of the Aurora business community. And then we will design initiatives that will move the needle in a positive way to address those needs. And again, position the economy for success, over the course of the next 5 years. So in the ways to plug in, we're going to have a, kind of city region-wide survey that's going to go out to businesses. We're conducting both virtual and in-person roundtable discussions. The consultants are meeting in some instances one-on-one with leaders from academia and from the private sector, and we're working very closely, with the city as this moves forward. The idea is that the plan will be finished in August with a rollout after Labor Day. And so for those listeners, if you have ideas, if you are, a member of the business community and you want to be a part of this, please make sure you reach out to the Alliance and watch for the updates, on social media and on our website so that you can see how we are progressing. And then in the fourth quarter, we'll be sharing our big plans and then embarking on some really great work that we know from other communities is how those communities are being successful.
I want to ask you both one parting question, too, before we wrap up here today. Kind of a personal question. So I want to get your take first, Mayor, and then Kelly will let you get the final word. So what does it mean to you to start this organization and really help push the city of Aurora forward? You've been doing it for a long time as mayor, but now as being a part of this launch, what's that mean to you, Mayor?
I can tell you a feeling that I have, and it's pride. pride in Aurora, pride in these organizations that came together to continue to help Aurora go to the next level. Pride in all the individuals that participated in the creation of the Alliance. Proud to have someone of Kelly's caliber on the Aurora team. I'm just so excited about the future of the city of Aurora, and I know our future is bright. So it calls the City of Lights because for so many reasons. Well, the original reason was because that we had the first electric street lamps in the country. One of the first cities to have electric street lamps in the country, City of Lights. But now I think we shine brighter because of each individual resident that calls Aurora home. The light that shines in them, helps us to shine. And the more we're successful with partnerships and organizations like the Alliance, the more Aurora will just shine bright at the top of the hill. So I'm just proud as I can possibly be of where we're going to go, where we've come to where we are now, and where we're going to go in the future.
I can tell you, I feel so blessed. This is an absolute, dream come true from a professional perspective. And as you can guess with my name, Kelly O'Brien, I've got some Irish blood in me. And I think that, when you say luck of the Irish, this is really it. And I can see how throughout my career, all of the experiences that I have had, when I've been, again, very fortunate to work with some amazing people in some terrific roles. And there have been challenges along the way too. And it is the combination of all of that, the good and the challenges, that have prepared me for this role. And it is truly a dream come true. I didn't know when I left my role in Charlotte and came home to go into caretaking mode, what would be next. And I could never have imagined this. And again, it is just so exciting. And I definitely want to give a shout out, to the team. There were 4 organizations and staff members that came together to be a part of the Alliance. And as we've discussed, this is not a job. We are change makers, and there's a lot of responsibility with the work, that we are being entrusted, to launch and to embrace and to promote. And so we had a really successful launch on Friday, and I'm so proud of we were sold out and there was a lot of great energy, but it would not have been successful without a really talented, dedicated team. So, collectively, we are growing the team. We've got great people already there, and we are committed to making sure that this is a real asset for the community and to continue to build on the mayor's vision.
And from the kickoff, I think what we could feel in the room was excitement. I mean, you could cut it with a knife. People are looking for more, and the Alliance is going to give them that more they're looking for, and they're excited about where Aurora's going to go, and so am I.
And the business leaders that have already stepped up in both thought leadership and financial ways, is we've got just the best of Aurora already at the table.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, the Alliance is already here, and there's so much more to come. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you to Mayor Richard C. Irvin and Kelly O'Brien for joining me up here today. Stay tuned for more as the Alliance continues its work here in Aurora in 2025. Thank you.